Hi, this is David Hawthorne at astroview.com. Today is the 6th of October, 2013. Following is the Vedic Astrology reading for Janis Joplin, born 19th of January 1943 at 9:45 a.m. in Port Arthur, Texas. So this gives the 11th sign of the zodiac in the first house. This is Aquarius rising sign, with K2, the southern node, in the first house, exactly on the rising sign degree of 2 degrees. So she's Aquarius rising sign, 11th sign here, so that she's unconventional, imaginative, inventive, courageous, humanitarian. And we say that for the Aquarius rising sign, Saturn is a benefic, Mars is a benefic, Sun is a benefic, Venus is a benefic, and Jupiter. Those are the benefic planets for this chart. But the problem here, well, first off, let's talk about Janis just being successful through her music and singing and her voice. So what happens is that Mars rules Aries, the third house of communications. It's sitting over here in the house of gains and income. And it's under the fifth aspect of Rahu. So Rahu aspects 5, 7, and 9 houses away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rahu 2 degrees is aspecting Mars at 1 degree. So this gives incredible courage to her voice and gives her this magnetic voice, this persuasive voice. So this is very, very good. So she had very courageous speech. And because Mars is close to the rising sign degree, and because it's a benefic planet, it blesses the house of incomes. It blesses 4, 7, and 8 houses away. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it gives her a lot of status and wealth through her communications. It also blesses the 5th house away and the 8th house away. So this is a very good Mars, but it is weak in infant state. And my concern is that Rahu and Ketu, because they're on the most effective point, 100%. Whenever you see Rahu and Ketu on the most effective point, they afflict the houses they occupy and the houses they aspect. So the Rahu influence on the first house also gives charisma, fame, and fortune. But it can cause some unexpected calamity. And K2 is also associated with drugs. She did have a drug problem with what they called speed in those days, plus some heroin, and she loved her Southern comfort as well. So she also had 2 younger siblings. So that's the third house is younger siblings, and they're placed in the house of gain, so that gives younger siblings. So Rahu's influence on this 11th house gives enormous income. She had a lot of wealth. Rahu influence in the first house gave her this charisma. Rahu influence on the third house of communications gave her tremendous communication. So that's where all the good things were. But you can see a lot of stress here too, because Venus ruling religion and spirituality is in the 12th house of losses. Mercury rules this 8th house. This is always the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th house. Mercury rules this 8th house of Virgo. It's sitting in the 12th house of end of life. 8th house is Ayush Karaka, significator for longevity, ruled by Mercury, and it's in the house of loss. So loss of life, loss of longevity. Also, Saturn is Ayush Karaka, the significator for longevity. This is Saturn, but it rules Aquarius. It represents longevity, and this Saturn has an affliction of both Ketu and Rahu to Saturn's house. So both significators for longevity, Saturn Ayush Karaka and Mercury the Ayushtan, the ruler of the 8th house. Both are very, very weak. Mercury in the 12th house of losses, and Saturn is weak because of Rahu Ketu affliction to its house. So that cuts short the lifespan. We also see that she was in her Jupiter period for many years, which is education. It's in the house of mind and education. But in 1964, she went into Saturn. So that Rahu and Ketu kind of kicks in. She was very disappointed with school and family life and ran away from home from Texas and went to live in California when she was about 20 years old. So, and she also died in October 1970. So that would be the K2 subperiod from June 70 to August 71. And K2 afflicts the first house. It afflicts Aquarius, ruling the chart, and which is ruled by Saturn, which is the significator for longevity. So she died during the K2 period. So a very powerful chart. It's a good illustration here. Sun here, ruling the 7th house of marriage, is in the 12th house of loss. So if she had any marriage, it was very short-lived. Things didn't work out for her in relationships so much. Venus ruling the 9th house, there was some separation from her father. Mercury ruling the 8th up here in the 12th, not so good either. Moon in Gemini, I think that's a very good situation. That gives her a good social ability. And Jupiter also here in the 5th house is fine. This, by the way, Moon-Jupiter conjunction is usually considered quite favorable, especially if these planets are benefics. But what we say is that Jupiter and Moon, in India, that's called the symbol of aristocracy. And it's known as the lion and the elephant, Gaja Kasari Yoga. So Gaja is the elephant, Kasari is the lion. So people usually, when people have a Gajakasara yoga, they can become famous or well known. Okay, these are the main points from the chart for Janis Joplin.